Hi everybody, my name's Gayle and I'll be taking you through a gentle yoga practice today. Because we're often sitting down and getting a little bit tight in the hips, I thought I'd focus in on the hips, and even though it doesn't really look like it, I'm just exploring the body here, just warming up, getting centered, breathing in and gently breathing out. So I'm going to start with some subtle neck movements. I'm just really noticing the neck. Some slight movement. You see I'm lifting up an ear. I have a little bit of a wiggle. I'm going to lift up another ear. Little bit of rotation, a little bit of lifting. Just noticing really where I feel tight. Coming down a little bit lower on the body. Starting to think about neck and the shoulder. So lifting up one shoulder at a time. Just seeing where my limitations are today. Pressing one hand down into the mat. Noticing how that feels on my neck. Lifting up an ear, breathing in. Just finishing off that move. You can see I'm sitting on a V pillow today. Just getting my hips a little higher than my knees. We'll be coming in and wiggling around these same sort of movements. Down a little bit lower. Just noticing the chest rising and falling. So take a nice deep breath in each time you lift your chest up. And then in your own time, breathing out. Noticing the lungs filling up while we do these limbering movements. So a little gentle circling movement. Just a combination of those side to sides, forward and back movements. We're starting to come down a little lower on the spine now. And you can see I'm just circling back. Take your time with this. There's no magic number to complete. It's just noticing the body. A little chance to relax. Placing my hands down on the hips now to remind me to focus here. So I'm using the same movement, lifting up the chest, breathing in, gently breathing out. But this time, I'm actually moving the pelvis. So as I lower down, I'm placing a little bit more weight on my tailbone. As I breathe in, the weight on the tailbone lifts. And here I am, trying the same movements side to side, focusing on the hips. Noticing if there's any stiffness, any tightness. And remember, we never work in pain. Even though I am wiggling down around there on the hips, I'm trying to keep my spine nice and tall. I'm using my whole body other than just looking at just the hips. That's my focus, but I'm still moving the whole body. Hips, waist, chest, neck, all moving around. I've found another little pattern here. A little bit of a circular motion. Lifting up and then dropping down, starting my circle again in the opposite direction. You can see I've left my shoes on today. I'm just wiggling my knees and my ankles. And that's because we're doing seated postures today. So no need to take the shoes or the socks off, especially in the cooler weather. Later on I do take my shoes off because they just get in the way. So I've crossed over on the other side. Got my opposite foot in front and the other one behind. And again, I'm going through those same movements, a little faster than before. I've already warmed up the neck and the shoulders and the spine a little bit. I'm just seeing what movement there is in the hips with my legs in this position. Tilting the pelvis up, down, side and side. Taking it at your own time. And see if you can match the movement with the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. It's quite a relaxing thing to do. And here I am finding that circular motion again, leaning over, lifting up, then dropping down again. Try a little bit of a wiggle. Now let's see if we can check a little bit lower in the pelvis. So I've placed a roller, or you might place a pillow under your knee. You can see I've gotten my sock off. And you can see my knees still up a little bit. I'm going to support it by putting a cushion under there. And so this feels good. And now I get to try those movements again, forward and back, side, side, and circling around. I'm still trying to keep the chest high. A little bit of pressure on the tailbone, breathing out. Lift the chest to breathe in each time. A little bit less pressure on the tailbone. That knee's feeling good. I'm going to just try it out. I've got a little bit of space underneath me, and that's because of the height of the cushion. If that feels uncomfortable, you might want to place a cushion back underneath there. Trying to keep a little bit of softness under that knee. I'm trying to activate the leg. You can see I'm pulling up. Imagine you're pulling your kneecap up towards the hip. And you can see my toes, even while they're still in the boot, they're up nice and tall. I'm actually flexing at the ankle. Pressing down with my hand to gauge that other knee, and then see if you can just use muscle power to keep the knee in place. And if it pops up, well, that's where it's meant to be. A little bit more muscle power, just changing over. Tucking that other foot underneath. Have a little bit of a wiggle and then see how you feel. This leg feels a little bit looser, but I'm still keeping some space under the knee. Lifting the toes, flexing the foot, activating the leg, lifting up that kneecap, and here I am, forward and back, side and side, and a little bit of a circle. Trying to move the pelvis. The top of the pelvis drops forward. There I am, lifting up the kneecap. A little bit of weight on the tailbone, pelvis rolling back. Breathing in each time, a bit less weight on the tailbone. Hands up, a little bit of tummy power, and here I am, just easing my way into a wide forward fold. Now I've definitely got my knees up too high for me, But if it feels good, stay here. That's what it's all about. I'm giving you lots of options. Maybe the 2 knees down, maybe one at a time. Find the rhythm of your body. I've got my hands tucked behind my back and just leaning forward but maintaining a nice tall spine. And here's another little rhythm I've found. Breathing out, less weight on the tailbone. Breathing out, maybe 1 knee down, maybe 2 knees. And each time you breathe in, a bit more weight on the tailbone. You might notice there's a little bit more space to move. I found a nice little adjustment there. I don't know if you noticed it. I was able to move my feet slightly further apart. I didn't force anything. I'm just going with the flow of my body. Still with those forward and back movements. There I am, focusing on the hips. Tailbone lifts. Tailbone down. Flexing the toes, getting the feet working, the ankles working. And here I am trying another little experiment. I've got the toes out to one side. Helpful if you squeeze the bottom slightly. And I'm off onto my side to side movement in the pelvis, in this pose. Wide leg, seated pose. So I've leant over a little bit, keeping the spine tall. Got one elbow very close to the hip. Often in class, we want to mimic the teacher. Well, you can't mimic me. I'm not that flexible. But we do tend to put ourselves into a position that maybe doesn't feel right. So start small. Elbow right up high, and then maybe just lift the arm a little bit and notice how that feels. Breathing in and up, breathing out and down. I've been doing a little bit of Qigong lately, and so I've noticed a sort of a Tai Chi feel here. All very mindful, respectful of the body, not pushing myself into a position that I can't handle or one that causes pain. Breathing in and up, breathing out and down. An extended warrior now, lifting up, breathing out. There's a slight rotation of spine, and so we need to be very mindful. Keep that spine tall. You don't wind up in trouble. Oh, another little experiment, lifting an arm. Breathing in and up, breathing out and down. Little pause here, just explaining I've got my tummy switched on nice and tight so that I am supported as I lift up that arm a little bit. Breathe in and up, and breathing out and down. Notice my knees have quite relaxed now. I'm not forcing anything, they're just feeling good as they stay closer to the floor. Bringing my feet closer together. And here's my little option. That floor's pretty hard, and I'm finding that I can't press down without feeling uncomfortable. So starting off, just noticing the spine. Nice and tall. And I'm just guiding my knees down. It was a little pressure, and then I lifted my hands to see if I could keep my knees in place. You might be able to see by the line of my shirt that I'm still working on that pelvic movement, forward and back. My hands are up so that I'm using my tummy muscles now to support the spine. Breathing in and up. Pressing back, tailbone down, breathing in and up. Little roll back. And breathing in and up. Nice tall spine if you can. There it goes. And just testing now, can I keep the pressure off of my tailbone and maybe glide forward a little bit, maintaining a long spine. My hands were up there to show you that I'm using tummy power rather than forcing myself into a position. And now I've found my little shape so I can rest my hands down on my feet. So I'm sort of relaxing without relaxing. I haven't let myself go all floppy. And here's my next little pose. One foot in front of the other. I've decided to keep that front foot on a cushion. And I'm breathing in and up. Gliding down. Hands together just to maintain a nice full spine. My hips feel good, my knees feel good, my ankles. Breathing in, breathing out. Placing my hands down at my heart space. Noticing how this feels. Quite relaxing. Notice where you're breathing. Maybe in the chest, the belly, maybe around to the sides of your ribs. Tummy in a little bit of a forward fold. And notice where you're breathing now. Maybe there's an expansion in the back. Breathing in and out. Noticing the ribs open and relax. Noticing the low back. And now I've put my hands into a prayer mudra, just for meditation. One hand cupped gently over the other. My hips are now ready to sit in this position as we go into meditation. I invite you to now stay with the body. Notice the breath. And maybe even continue for a moment or two after this video. Letting go of the body, focusing only on the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Namaste, everyone.